Hi, my name is Jennifer Boileau. I am a trauma-informed yoga and meditation teacher here in Delaware, and I thought I would share some tips with you on how to help yourself become aware of all the feelings you might be having as we go through really an unprecedented time. None of us have ever experienced anything quite like this. I'll be recording a couple practices today that I'll share with you coming up. But I thought I would talk about a conversation I had yesterday that I think would be really applicable to so many of us as we move through a really anxiety-producing situation. So the person I was talking with said not only was this making them feel anxious in the present moment, but it was also really triggering to some childhood incidents and issues surrounding their life, and it was bringing them right back to those sensations. And I thought it might be a good time to share with you really what that means, because while it can be really overwhelming, it's also very, very connected to how our brains are wired and why our brains perceive memories in different ways. So I know that you can't see the fine print on here. I'm attached by my microphone to my phone here in the camera, so bear with me. My wireless microphone isn't here yet, and we're just gonna make do. So there are 3 areas of the brain that are really affected by stress. I'm gonna talk about 2 of them in particular right now for this situation. So there's an area of your brain called the hippocampus, okay? So I'll just put a big H here for hippocampus. It looks like a little squirmy worm, or maybe like a pea pod or something like that in the brain. So the hippocampus is there, and this little orange dot here is your amygdala, which is your alarm center. So the hippocampus, our little squirmy worm here, acts like a filing cabinet for your memories, and it handles your typical memories. So say, for instance, you went to meet someone for dinner, and you go to the restaurant and you're waiting for this person to arrive. Like you have all this general knowledge about the event happening. You know you're at a restaurant, you know it's maybe before Christmas. There's all these factors that let you know that there is a timestamp to what's going on, that your memories will be put in sequential order. You'll know that you drove there, you're waiting at the restaurant. Really simple things that happen really super fast in your brain. So much is going on, and all these thoughts are getting placed into this filing cabinet, okay? So while you're waiting at the restaurant, your friend never shows up, and maybe you're kind of ticked off about it. So that gets stored as a typical memory. The drawer opens, you know it was before Christmas, you know the person never came, and you have an emotion attached to it of like, I'm kind of ticked. But then a couple hours later, you find out that the person had car trouble, they were broken down on the side of the road, and they were having a really hard time. Well, now you don't have that same emotion tied to that memory. Now you know, oh God, the person had a horrible, car breakdown. No problem, don't worry about it, we'll reschedule, I'm glad you're okay, right? So typical memories get a timestamp, and typical memories get updated, okay? So now you don't have that ticked off feeling about it. When you think about it, you think like, oh yeah, remember, oh geez, your car had a horrible time, and then it's just stored away. No big deal. Memories that get stored in a traumatic way get stored very, very differently. So say you're thinking about all the typical stuff you think about, right? All these time-stamped things. Maybe you're even considering, as you're walking down the street, what's happening right now. Maybe you're like, what's going on? I feel all this uncertainty. What am I going to make for dinner? Did I buy enough toilet paper? All the things happening right now, right? And your mind's really busy with all of these thoughts that have been placed into your hippocampus. Well, you go to cross the street and a car comes whipping down the street. The hippocampus needs to go offline because your amygdala, your alarm center, needs to get to work, right? It needs to send signals all throughout your body, release certain neurochemicals in the body to help you react, because either it's react or you're going to get hurt. So when the hippocampus shuts down, suddenly memories aren't going to be stored in the same way. This memory is going to be stored through the emotional and physical body. So a trauma memory acts a lot different than a typical memory that gets put in the drawer and gets time-stamped, okay? So this is my version of an alarm clock here. So when your alarm center gets triggered, suddenly you feel it throughout your entire body, right? You know, if someone scares you and you get that jolt, absolutely, that's your body responding in a alarmed kind of way. When you get out of the way from the car, suddenly you've just stored a trauma memory, okay? These memories are tricky, and these are the memories that come up, and that now, 30 years later, this pandemic is happening, and there's something in it that is resonating in the body that is just waking up an old traumatic memory, okay? So these memories, if you think of them like, I don't know, globs of slime or something just getting stuck all over, okay? A trauma memory is not organized. So it's not sequential. Suddenly when you're considering it, when you're thinking about it, you're starting to feel it as if it's happening right now. Because your brain didn't get a chance to put it in the proper drawer in your hippocampus, right? It didn't get to timestamp it. It didn't get to attach the proper or updated memory to it. It still is acting, a little bit irrational, a little bit crazy in the body, and it's doing whatever it wants. And it's showing up at times that you don't like it. So you really don't have any control over the retrieval of a trauma memory. They come back involuntarily, okay? So suddenly, you hear something on the news and you're instantly taken back to 3rd grade when something happened and it's like, why am I thinking about this right now? Because energetically, something that you've just heard is triggering something in your physical body where these memories get stored, and it's bringing it back like it's happening right now. These memories are also situationally accessible. So, for instance, it might be the next time you go to cross the street, you get that jolt of that memory. Oh my gosh, last time I was preoccupied with my thoughts, I nearly got run over. You might have that come back to you a lot when you go to cross the street, or maybe 20 years later, you're really super cautious with your kids crossing the street because you've had this traumatic experience, right? These memories are not time tagged. They're really hard to place. And when they show up, they arrive with the same feeling as they did when they happened the first time. So have you ever heard of maybe somebody bringing someone up on charges, right, on the news, and someone says, well, what are they complaining now for? Well, because to that person, that memory is not time-stamped. That memory is living in the body, and they're experiencing it maybe 20 years later like it's happening right now in this moment. So the only way to really help your body move through these traumatic memories is to do 2 things. 1, physically move your body. All of the research says this. This isn't like pseudoscience. This isn't something that somebody just made up. There is phenomenal research about how and why the brain behaves the way it does, and how you can help yourself move through these different experiences. So the biggest piece is physically moving your body. It doesn't have to be yoga, but let it be something. So whether you're walking, riding a bike, a stationary bike, or something outside, just walking around your yard, being outside in nature, doing something physical with your body is going to help move this emotional, stuck energy out of you, and you'll feel much better. Like, have you ever gone to the gym or gone to a workout of some kind, and afterwards you're like, oh, I feel so much better. My head feels clearer. I just feel overall this, sense of wellness. That's because you're getting the physical stuff out of the fascia, out of the body, and you're helping yourself move through some memories that you probably don't even realize you're helping yourself with. The other thing is to do something that elicits the relaxation response in the body. All of the research, in particular by Bessel van der Kolk, I'll share that book later. He talks and has done probably the most research out of anyone out of Harvard about the importance of the relaxation response in the body when it comes to resolving trauma. So no, it doesn't have to be meditation, okay? Of course, I love all the research from integrative restoration meditation. All that research was done at Walter Reed Medical Center by Dr. Richard Miller. I'm a huge fan. I am trained by him, and I'll be recording a practice of that later today that I will be sharing with you. But that is a researched and proven method to help elicit that relaxation response and help remove some of these trauma memories from the physical body. Because every time they come up, it's really just your brain trying to process what wasn't put oh so nicely into this filing cabinet over here in the hippocampus. So when you think about this, know that yes, they are involuntary, and yes, they can kind of come up out of nowhere, but avoidance of certain areas because you don't want to trigger them isn't going to help resolve them. Okay, so finding a practice that physically moves the body and also elicits the relaxation response, something like meditation or Tai Chi, something slow and controlled. It could even be weightlifting, right? It could even be this slow, controlled movement with the weights. Pairing your breath with your movement is a really fantastic way to elicit that relaxation response. So of course, you know, I have my favorite practices of yoga and meditation for this. Find what works for you. As long as you're practicing something that's helping to invite that response in the body, you will be helping yourself tremendously as we move through not only what's happening right now, but, you know, months from now, a week from now, 2 days from now, there might be something else that is really triggering to you. And instead of working to avoid it, why don't we see if we can just breathe and move through it? And I'll be sharing, like I said, more practices to help you do that. Also, if you know someone that is a first responder and would like to join my Inner Warrior group, there is a button here on the page. Absolutely click to join the group. I do ask a couple of questions. I want to know what department you're with, what base you're out of, wherever you are, and I do ask that you fill those in for me so I know the best way to help you. I will be doing a more in-depth discussion about this in that group, so I'll be happy to see you there, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, and just find something, even if it's 5 minutes a day, that's going to help elicit that response from you, that relaxation response. Have a great day.